Good evening, this is Tacks. I'm Zaka Jacob. After the horrendous story of an elderly woman who was peed upon by a fellow passenger on a New York-Delhi flight, now there is a shocking second instance. This happened 10 days later on the 6th of December. This was again on Air India, a Paris-Delhi flight. Today, the DGCA has issued a show-cause notice to Air India, and that too a full month later. The crew are currently being questioned. There's also a lookout notice against this deviant passenger who's been identified as Shekhar Mishra, who works for a multinational company based out of Mumbai. But the question, and there are many questions, the behavior of the crew on board, the behavior of the airline itself, should they not be held accountable? Because at the end of the day, you have paid money, good money, for a business class ticket on India's leading carrier, and here's what you get in return. We're getting some breaking news. The Delhi police is currently questioning two of the crew members on that flight of Air India who are on board that plane. This was the New York-Delhi flight on the 26th of November. They are asking questions about the incident, the nature of the response from the Air India crew. Sources say that the Delhi police has written to the concerned authority and also issued a lookout circular against the prime accused, the deviant passenger Shekhar Mishra, as he's not joining the police investigation. Anvit Srivastav is joining us live with more details. Anvit, what exactly is the Delhi police seeking to ascertain from the crew who are being currently questioned?
See, Zaka, in this case, at least two of the Air India crew members have been called for questioning at the IJ police station in New Delhi, and they are being questioned to basically to ascertain the sequence of events, that what happened, what led to this incident. They would also try to know the behavior of the man who is in question here, for whom the teams have been sent out. He's absconding right now, is what the police believes, and we have spoken to senior officers. They have said they're close to nabbing him. He has been booked under section 304, 354, 509, and aircraft rules as well. These people are actually being questioned to find out whether this man was at fault, what did he do, how much alcohol was served to him, because was it a violation of aircraft rules that was more alcohol served to him, because that is what this complainant, who is a Karnataka-based septuagenarian, 72-year-old woman, she has alleged that he was given more alcohol than a passenger can be served on board. So all these things are being they are finding out all these things, and more and more people from the aircraft crew as well as from those who handled the situation on ground when the aircraft had landed, they also eventually being called at the police station to record their statement.
All right, the manner in which the crew handled this, I think that is what has been appalling. As bad as, the experience or the ordeal that this lady, this elderly woman had to go through, I think it was compounded by the utter insensitivity in the manner in which the crew handled this incident. Let me bring you up to speed with what exactly happened. This incident happens on the 26th of November 2022. 2 days later, she writes to the Tata group as well as, of course, to the police, and narrating this ordeal. She says that he exposed himself, he unzipped his pants and urinated on me. She goes on to say, my clothes, my shoes and my bags were completely soaked in urine. The flight staff, she says, refused to touch these items that are soaked in urine. What I did was to ask for a change of seat, and I was told that none was available. I was then asked to return to the soiled seat by the crew about an hour later. The crew, in fact, subsequently brought the offending passenger before me against my wishes. And then she goes on to say that she was made to negotiate with the perpetrator of this horrific incident. Subsequently, she also asked Air India for some kind of reimbursement, some kind of compensation. Air India, in turn, told her no, they are not liable and they won't be able to pay her any money. Instead, that she should ask the passenger concerned to compensate. This is her complaint. This was written the day after this incident happened. This absolutely perverse incident happened. And this man, by the way, Shekhar Mishra, he's been identified as a resident of Mumbai, is still out there scot-free. So I want to open the call lines tonight on Brass Tacks, and you call us, because we're seeing one after another these instances of absolutely unacceptable behavior that's happening on board different aircraft. In this case, Air India on the 26th of November, and again a second incident of an individual, a passenger, peeing on the blanket of a fellow passenger, and that happened 10 days later. So go ahead, call us. 01204341895 is our number. I'm going to open this up to our guests first. Dr. Mahesh Reddy is chairman of the National Council on Air Passengers and Director General at ILFI. Vipul Saxena is an aviation expert. Sanath Kaul is chairman of the International Foundation for Aviation and will be joined in a moment by Chandrasekhar Nene. He's the former CIO of Jet Airways. Let me start with you, Dr. Mahesh Reddy. The point is that it is appalling at two levels. At the level of the cabin crew, the manner in which they handle this is absolutely unacceptable. And then, of course, at the level of the airline itself, what was Air India doing? But first, I want to deal with the cabin crew. Look at the ordeal that this lady has narrated. She has said, all I ask for is a change of seat, and they refuse to give me one, saying there isn't any. We believe, and this is there in subsequent media reports, that there were first-class seats available. Air India just did not want to compensate her by giving her a first-class seat. So, Dr. Reddy, what action needs to and can be taken against the staff, against the cabin crew, whose behavior, whose handling of this episode was absolutely appalling?
Well, Jaka, definitely this deplorable action on the part of this unruly passenger is, it's totally, shame on the air passenger community itself. And on the part of airline, I'm sure, having kind of observed, having taken the review of the situation, what is going on, definitely they would have responded proactively rather than, waiting for these situation to kind of get into this level. And yes, when particularly this kind of, what is going on after observing the crew, at least it would have been a minimum courtesy on their part to provide the appropriate seat.
Exactly.
Rather than getting that, the passenger into a crew member's, a seat, etc. That is one. And the second part, even on the kind of airline, I'm quite, shocked. Even after 7 weeks, of course, they might be kind of going ahead with following the procedures, etc. Given the kind of privacy of the passenger ABC, but that's not the answer. It should have kind of, the passenger, the victim passenger should have been responded to at the very first level. And secondly, even letting the passenger, out of this airport or whatever, or the airline itself is something, it should answer, the airline should answer several questions.
Absolutely. I want to ask Vipul Saxena this. On the role of the airline itself, two things. One, the fact that Air India let this deviant passenger get away. He should have been arrested the moment this flight touched down in Delhi. And secondly, the fact that Air India, this incident happened on the 26th of November, the police complaint was registered only on the 28th of December. That is absolutely unacceptable. You can't wait for 1 month for whatever your internal committee inquiry or whatever it is before registering a police FIR. This is a crime. The police need to investigate this. Vipul Saxena.
Absolutely. I would hold Air India management fully responsible for this cover-up, because the guidelines are very, very clear. There is a civil aviation requirement circular of May 2017, which lays down the way an unruly passenger has to be handled, in which it is clearly mentioned that such passengers are to be deftly handled and ensured that other passengers are not disturbed, their dignity is not compromised, their safety is not compromised, and it's clearly said that in case there is a requirement, the aircraft can be diverted to the nearest airfield. So it is taken as a very serious matter, and thereafter the CR goes on further the procedure that such matters should be reported by the cabin crew and captain within 12 hours of landing to the DGCA and also to the management, and then airline through their internal committee should dispose of this matter, investigated and completed within 10 days, and take necessary action. While in this case, this incident took place on 26th of November.
Yeah.
And because Air India tried to hush up this matter, no action was taken till this lady complained to the chairman, Mr. Ratan Tata, and then only the action was taken.
No,
So,
Sanat Kaul,
that's what
I think
total
the
absolutely
critical
great.
question that needs to be asked is, A, clearly the airline did not file any complaint either with the police or as they are mandated to, they should have informed the DGCA. DGCA today
Yes.
has issued a notice. Mr. Kaul, it seems to be that this is not an incident in isolation. 10 days after this incident, on the 6th of December, on the Paris-Delhi Air India flight, there was a similar instance of a deviant passenger peeing on the blanket of another woman passenger. And then apparently the crew made both parties come to some kind of compromise. This is not something you compromise with.
Not at
Absolutely.
all. And I think there is a tendency for airlines to hush up a matter for no reason. It only leads to further misbehavior by passengers. And passengers are allowed to drink as much as they want because that is absolutely wrong. Because liquor is free doesn't mean that they can drink as much. I've had the experience when I was traveling, a passenger was drinking too much and the crew said, you can't have any more. And he started misbehaving, saying, I paid for it, I need it. And they said, no, you will not. And they, in fact, all got the signatures. I mean, they made a note and got all the signatures of all the nearby passenger sitting around it. And he then just shut up. He just kept saying that I'll go to the chairman, managing director of Air India. That was Air India also. And that was where I say that the crew behaved very well. They made him shut up and he didn't open his mouth after that. Here, the crew has allowed a person to get drunk, allowed him to misbehave, and then they did not even help the lady whom he humiliated, whatever he did, let's not discuss that. And they did nothing. The captain of the commander of the plane, it's his duty to inform the tower of this thing and make sure that, this person is not allowed to leave the plane without getting taken care of by the airport authority and the police. So there is a lapse on part of Air India. But besides that, this is also a safety issue. And safety is paramount. DGCA comes in that you can't have loose passengers. He may be drunk. He may throw something at the window. He might crack the window. He can do anything. If he was misbehaving like this, he was not in his senses, obviously.
Chandrasekhar Nene, when a passenger pays money, and business class is not cheap. In business class, you pay a ton of money. It is the responsibility of the airline to make sure that the passenger is taken from point A to point B in as much comfort as is possible and as safe as is possible. The least that the crew could have done is provide alternate seat to this elderly lady in question and compensation in some form, maybe bear the cost of her next flight, a business class flight or whatever it is. To say that we can't compensate you, nor can we give you an alternate seat because the flight is full, is unacceptable.
No, what we are seeing here is a very laissez-faire attitude by the airline staff and also by the police in Delhi. What should have happened is they should have immediately upgraded the lady, put her in a first class with apology from the captain himself. And importantly, the person who has done this misbehavior had to be handed over to the police immediately upon arrival at Delhi. They should have been in touch with the DGCA and the police. The captain can actually contact them on the VHF frequency, tell them that such an unruly passenger is on board and this has to be taken in control. And whether the lady pursues with the complaint or not, it is the prestige of the airline and the image of the airline that matters. They should have immediately done that. I will tell you, the minimum fine for this kind of behavior in the United States is $75,000.
Exactly.
It can be raised up to $82,000. Put the fine. If they had done that, the second incident on the 6th of December would
not have happened. Correct. Okay, let me get some callers. We've got a bunch of callers calling us. The number is flashing on your screen. You can call us and give us your thoughts on what's been going on with Air India. And I'm sure it's not just restricted to one airline. This has happened in other airlines as well. We've seen recently unruly scenes, even on international flights. So recount your experiences for us. The number is 01204341895. Our first caller tonight is Mr. Yograj calling us from Punjab. Good evening, Mr. Yograj. Mr. Yograj, can you hear me? Mr. Yograj, are you there? All right,
Yeah, sir.
All right, go ahead. Yeah.
So, compensation is not a matter. One thing is that if someone slaps in a flight to other passengers, this is the biggest crime.
Yeah.
If someone has a money crisis, so they should not travel in the planes also. The first thing is that first the airline should ban these guys for some 2 years and 1 year.
Yeah.
So that this will not happen again.
All right, Yogaraj, thank you for your call. In fact, as per the civil aviation requirements that was amended in 2017, there are various levels of unruly passenger behavior, and the maximum punishment is being put on a no-fly list for 2 years. In this case, Air India just put him on a no-fly list for 30 days. Shivam is calling us from Gurugram. Shivam, go ahead, sir.
Are you hearing me properly?
Yes, we are hearing you properly, yeah.
Yeah. I am a bit shocked on hearing this shameful event that this misbehavior happened in the airline. I want to know from aviation expert that what kind of guidelines are they following to check whether the person is having some alcohol or something, because I think they are no children who are traveling in the business class. They are the educated people, so they can't do it in the in the sense state. I think they are not having that much sense. They were having alcohol or some drink.
Okay.
So do they have some guidelines from the aviation department that
Okay,
can
I'll
check
ask
that
the
person is
experts whether there is guidelines on consumption of alcohol on board. Let's get more callers in. Asha is calling us from Mumbai. Good evening, ma'am.
Hi, Zaka. Thank you very much for talking of social items now. Let me tell you, when I joined Taj, Mr. J.R.D. Tata was training all of us like he did in the airlines. He told us how to dress, how to conduct ourselves. They picked people, girls and boys from very good families. And this training is lacking now in Air India and in all airlines. Let me also mention something else.
Mm-hmm.
There were air marshals that we had decided to put on airlines, especially in the long-haul airlines.
Mm-hmm.
All the crew have mobiles. They can take a photograph of the gentleman. Upgrading is a very simple thing. It is done immediately. Thirdly, ladies should be shifted automatically if they are alone into the first class, because it is 10 hours or 15 hours of flying and she is more secure there because there are people over there. Let me give you one more incident. A lady had been asked at the airport to remove her shirt. What is happening in airlines is throughout the airlines. And next thing that I want to tell you, when we were doing passenger service for food through Taj Air Caterers, there was a strike on, and only a crew was engineers. I got up and served food to everyone, and I know how the passengers behave. Hey, come here, give me this. Why aren't you giving me that?
Yeah.
Eventually, a lady got up and helped me serve the tea and coffee, and they made me sit down. But they did not even thank me. So I know how it is handled. The air crew is not trained. The captain is not aware. There is no connection between the airline while it is flying with the owner, or at least with the
management.
The airport.
All right. Asha, thank you for your call. Let me get Arun also from Coimbatore. Arun is calling us. Yes, Arun.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead, Arun. I can hear you. Yes. Yeah, go ahead.
Arun Coimbatore. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Yeah, you see, this stupid, idiotic, rich bugger, I would call him a bastard, because he's such a stupid idiot. He should have been arrested at that time itself. What was the Air India doing? Now, I will never ever fly with Air India, and I tell all my friends never ever to fly with Air India. How can they be so stupid? How can they be so stupid as to let him go scot-free? No, they are very twiddling their thumb. Shame on Air India.
Okay,
Shame on
Arun,
Air
thank you
India.
for your call. You look at the penalties in other countries. If this happened on British Airways or American Airlines, the minimum mandated penalty is £5,000 or 2 years imprisonment as per British civil aviation rules. And in the United States, it's $11,000 or 20 years in jail. And I want to come back to our guests and ask this. In India, there is no penal provision, Dr. Mahesh Reddy. It's only that you will be barred in the first instance, 3 months, you'll be put on a no-fly list. And if it's a tier 3 offense, then you'll be put on a no-fly list for 2 years. You have to put penal provisions. People have to pay a penalty and steep fines, as in the case of UK and US. That's when people will start behaving themselves.
Raka,
Well, Jack,
Can I come in?
as part of the CAR norms,
Yes, go ahead.
well, Jack, are you with me?
Yes. Go ahead, Dr. Reddy.
Yeah. Well, as part of CAR norms, these provisions are not there. But then once the case attracts the criminality, in fact, I have dealt with at least 4 or 5 different internal committee cases. Wherever these kind of criminal actions are part of the overall case, separate cases are filed in the respective, jurisdictions in the concerned police stations, etc. And parallelly, both internal committee, provisions as well as the criminal provisions attract. And there are instances wherein, 6 months to, 8 months, imprisonments have also kind of awarded to the concerned unruly passengers.
No, Vipul Saxena, the issue is the airline is mandated for every flight. There is a flight manifest, and if there is any incident, either endangering safety or unruly passenger or any incident on board while the flight was in progress, it is mandated upon the captain, the commander of the flight, as well as the crew to inform the airline, and the airline is mandated to inform DGCA. Today, Vipul Saxena, the DGCA, a month and 10 days later, on the 4th, 5th of January, today, the DGCA has issued notice to Air India. I mean, that's, again, unacceptable.
Yes.
see, the issue is that the CAR, which has been issued by the Civil Aviation Ministry, is half work done. The whole scenario of unruly passenger is well covered by ICAO Doc 10117, which very clearly mandates to all contracting states to have clear-cut guidelines and deterrent action against the unruly passenger, so that these kind of incidents don't repeat time and again. And people fear about it. And that is how, when this regulation came by Indian government, the CAR of May 2017, it is totally silent about what kind of punishment, what kind of deterrent action to be taken. It just says that he can be put on no-fly list for 30 days. I think that is where the problem lies. Unless you set example of this kind of people, the things will not stop. And that is why you're seeing the Air India tried to hush up the first matter, and within a few days, this US flight happened on 28th of November.
26th of November, yeah.
And 6th of December, second similar incident happened on the Air India flight again.
All right, Sanat Kaul, it comes back to a simple contention, and that is that there needs to be stricter punishment. Punishment is the only deterrence. The role of the airline is also under question. Like I said, if the incident happened 26th of November, they filed the police complaint only on the 28th of December. What were they doing for that 1 month plus? But most importantly, I think it comes down to if you have penal provisions. This is criminal behavior. And for criminal behavior, you cannot, ask people to compromise and say, okay, why don't you apologize, and that's the end of that matter. No.
See, I would like to
Mr. Kaul, please.
Let me say that, please. Hello.
Yeah, Mr.
I'm
Kaul.
saying it is not a question of only DGCA and the provisions provided under unruly passengers.
Mm-hmm.
While on flight, even on international territory, over open seas, the airline is registered in India, therefore laws of India apply. And the commander of the aircraft is like, he's the chief person, he's like the captain of a ship. He's fully authorized to take action. He is derelicting his duty if he is not taking action. Therefore, he should have informed the tower, he should have informed the company. He has a direct link with his company, and informed them. He should have made sure that the passenger is actually physically collected at the airport.
Yeah.
And this is where I think neither the crew, and the crew also tried to hush it up. They did not help the lady. There is a dereliction of duty, and I don't know whether DGCA can impose a fine, but if they can, under some rule or the other, under the Aircraft Act, they should certainly do so in this incident to make sure that it does not get repeated
All right, I'm going to
again.
take two more
But at
callers
the
and then
same
I'll give
time,
the
it
final word to
can be
Mr.
a
Nene
police
after
state.
this. Mr. Rajasekharan is our next caller. He's calling us from Bengaluru. Mr. Rajasekharan.
Shall I speak to you, Mr. Zakar?
Yes, Mr. Rajasekharan, go ahead. Yeah, we can hear you.
Good evening, Mr. Zakar.
Good evening.
Whoever is making contributions in terms of, resisting the action against Shankar Mishra, they are talking through their head. Very simple. I'm very sorry to use the very strong language. Whatever the Shankar Mishra has done within the, aircraft, is it lawful? It is not lawful. It is unlawful. Isn't it?
Yes.
What I suggest, not only be arrested, he should be bobbytized. Then only all other agencies will see that no such person is traveling in it. All the individuals who are all talking in their discussions, telling that, no, this is the only thing that we can do, this is the thing that only we can do, is all not nothing but humbug.
Okay, Rajasekharan, thank you for your call. Raju is calling us from Rajkot. Mr. Raju, yes, good evening.
Now, I just like to share only one point which is most important, that the first and the foremost duty is by the Director General of Civil Aviation, because all the domestic airports and the international airports of India, they are handled by CISF, as you know, right? So the person who is not normal, who is drunk or can.
All right, Raju, I'm afraid there's a bad audio line there with you. We'll try and see if we can reconnect to Mr. Raju from Rajkot. One final caller, G.V. Rao is calling us from Andhra Pradesh. Mr. Rao.
Good evening, Zaka.
Good evening.
Good evening, Zaka.
Yeah, go ahead, sir. Yeah, go ahead.
Good evening, Zaka. Thank you for connecting me. I have been a frequent flyer with Air India as well. I have traveled with them many times. They have, even as a government airline, maintained certain standards. But now that it has passed over to the Tatas, they have very high ethical values and they have standard operating procedures in place. This is a transitory phase where the Tatas have just taken over, and they will definitely be putting a lot of systems into place. The point that I want to make, Zaka, is that the incident that took place mid-air in the cabin crew have limited ability to deal with such a situation. They can do their best at the cabin level, but it is the commander of the aircraft, the captain, the pilot, who takes a final call on what is to be done. So I think that is the person who is primarily to be held responsible. Probably the management of Air India did not even have the information that such an incident has taken place until this unfortunate and poor lady, made a bit of and filed a complaint. So I think it is the pilot primarily who is to be held responsible, and it is very unfortunate that Air India is coming under the scanner of such an unfortunate and very, very, very horrible episode. And this gentleman, I wouldn't call him a gentleman, this Mr. Mishra, should have been arrested immediately on landing.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for your call, Mr. Rao. Final caller, Clifton Almeida, is calling us from Goa. Mr. Almeida.
Yes. I am in the hotel industry. So what happens is we follow protocol in a case like this, wherein a change of clothes are kept for every passenger, or at least one or two passengers, with a free size dress which can be given to her for change of clothes, and the seat should be changed. First of all, this, I can't call him a gentleman, he has to be arrested immediately on, getting onto the airport. And I believe that Air India is governed by unions. That angle we have to explore, because I have seen before Tatas took over, there has been total indiscipline. I used to see staff when I traveled, staff without their tie properly tucked in or buttons missing from the clothes like that. And they were not even groomed. But now maybe it's a change of guard, so that discipline is being instilled. So I believe even the captain or the pilot has no say, or nobody listens to him.
All right, Mr. Almeida, thanks very much for your call. I'll give Mr. Nene the final word. Do you agree? I think one of the callers said that ultimately the responsibility stops with the commander of the flight. The crew have very limited elbow room in this case, but is asking for a different seat, and if none was available in business class, then asking for the lady to be given an upgrade to first class, given the harrowing experience that she had, that is surely within the remit of the crew.
Correct. Very true.
So, do you believe that the crew and the commander, I believe 2 crew members are being questioned right now, but the commander of the flight should also be questioned, Mr. Nene?
Yes, actually the captain also has to be questioned. There is another point I want to make. Have we all lost our sensitivity? Consider if this lady was our senior, somebody from our household, and this had happened, how we would have behaved towards that. What is happening? We are not concerned about the lady's discomfiture at all. We are talking of rules and regulations and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
The moment the plane lands, the person has to be handed over to the police. The police has to take a very serious note of this. I understand because I am in the industry of airline. Actually, in the air, you don't have too many options. You can't use air marshals and all those things. The marshals are not actually happening right now. The point is that we have to take action the moment it lands. And Air India senior management has to take a note of this. Now they are Tata. They are no more public sector company. They have to show to the passengers and to the world that they care. This is not caring attitude.
Absolutely. This is about a little empathy. It's about a little sensitivity. It's about dealing with an elderly woman who has gone through a harrowing experience. And if the crew can't go out of their way to make sure that she feels comfortable and that some amount of mitigation happens. And of course, like I said, compensation, absolutely. It is the responsibility of the airline. We'll leave it at that. Thank you very much to all our guests. I'm going to have to take a quick break here on the program. When we come back, we're going to shift focus to the other big story, and that is, of course, 4 days after the Anjali hit and drag case shocked the entire nation, including folks here in the national capital. Now, the Delhi police have made a significant revelation. There are 2 more accused in the drag case. One happens to be the owner of the car. There is still no breakthrough in this case of murder. We'll have details of that story right on the other side.